Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday. Wow, that was an old tagline, and you know what that means? It's time for Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving. Yeah, sometimes you're worn out enough that old taglines just come screeching out of your brain, out of the recesses of your brain. Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm worn. I am worn enough that I forgot to do laundry and am wearing a kind of smelly pre-exercised in shirt, which I don't recommend, but at least we're all working out in our homes, so it's not like anyone but me has to deal with this, and that's nice. I hope everybody had a good weekend and is doing well on this new week. I actually worked tech for a play this weekend, which, I mean, it's the first time I've done anything, like, been to the theater since beginning of March of 2020. And it's also, oh my God, I'm wearing these inside out. I am a mess today. Wow. All right. You know what? We're just going to roll with it. The portrait of a teacher as a total mess. But yes, it was not only the first time I'd been to the theater in over a year. It was also the first show I've worked on in ages. Like, actually worked on the show, not just ushering. And oh man, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And I definitely think I'm going to be putting a lot more work into getting back into theater, which will be exciting. Oh my God, am I really going to go through class with these pants inside out? Just give me a second. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. Oh my, yeah. Sorry, friends. Everything's fine. Yesterday was just it was an anniversary of a sad thing, and so I had lots of big emotions yesterday, and then didn't sleep well. So I'm just like, where am I? What's happening here? Ooh, and I need to water some plants. Look at these poor things. I need to repot all of my plants. But I'm here. And you know what? What do we talk about? We talk about how sometimes our success criteria is just, are you here? Cool. Because every workout does not need to be the most incredible, intensive, awesomest workout in the history of workouts. Sometimes workout can just be, well, I moved my body as much as I could for as long as I could. That's probably going to be me today. But that ties into, the behaviors that I always try and model on this stream, so I think that it works out. I hope the rest of you are less scattered today than I am. But even if you're not, it's okay. We will make it through. We will make it through the day. It is warm in this room. I meant to put the AC on, and then again, scattered, so totally forgot about it. But we're here. Ooh, I'm going to put you on Do Not Disturb, so you don't do that during class. We're here, and it's time for Perpetual Motion. Second week in a row at our new time. Thank you for joining me. Yay, yay, yay. I'm pretty pleased with the new time. I think that it's going to work out a lot better. So, rah. But yes, if this is your first time at Perpetual Motion, welcome. This class is a little bit different from my other bodyweight classes. So with most of my classes, you get to the end of a workout timer and you hear the final horn and you go, cool, I can stop moving and stand around and take a drink and wait to see what the next exercise is. In perpetual motion, when you get to the end of a workout timer and you hear that final horn, you go immediately into what we call our active rest exercise, which in this class is an exercise called cross jacks, which I will demonstrate when it comes time. They're basically a cousin of the jumping jack. So, but that means that from the time that we start the warm up to the time that we finish out class, you will be moving the whole time. That's why the tagline, or one of the taglines, is the half marathon of HIIT classes. So you have to come into class prepared for both a sprint and a marathon, because it's still a HIIT class. We're still going to be doing a lot of high intensity exercises, but we are not going to have the same rest built in. Any rest that we have is still going to be a moving rest. And it's important to learn how to really take those times as rest, okay? If you're doing something that is designed to be a rest exercise, you are doing bare minimum work. You are not trying to push for intensity. You're not going, oh yeah, I'm doing the biggest version of cross jacks that anyone's ever seen, okay? So, I want you to prep yourself for that and just be aware that you are going to have to be able to manage your energy in a very different way than many other HIIT classes, okay? So, good grief. Yep, I'm definitely worn down and tired, but I'm here. And if you're feeling the same way and you are also here, then I am extremely proud of you. So, without much further ado, let's get started, my friends. Let's start with our pre-class checklist. So make sure you have your water in whatever vessel you use, and make sure that you put it somewhere where you are going to be able to easily pick it up from a standing position, okay? Cross jacks are an exercise on your feet, standing up, so you don't want your water like down on the floor. You have to interrupt movement to lean over and pick it up or anything like that, okay? And you also want to make sure that it's in something that you're not going to break your teeth against when you're drinking from it while still moving, okay? So for all of you, I probably wouldn't go with a glass mason jar. I can do that because I'm the teacher, so I get to stop. But you've got your water. Hopefully you've been hydrating through the day. You've got your comfy clothes, whatever that means to you, hopefully better washed than mine are. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, we can turn them on now to high intensity interval training. Yeah. All right. Yeah. You know what? Let's take a deep breath. Just center ourselves here. Okay? Deep breath in. And out. And in. And out. We're here. We're going to work out. It's going to look however it looks, and it's going to be awesome no matter what it looks like. All right? So let's do our warm-up. Remember, as soon as we start this warm-up, you are in it. All right? Class continues for the rest of the hour. So, that's not my warm-up timer. There is my warm-up timer. All right, so everybody on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as you hear that horn, we begin with hip rocks and bridges. All right. And this is true for all classes, but particularly for today, remembering that we do not start off by immediately putting 100 or 110% of our energy into doing these exercises. All right, this is a warm-up. It's a boot-up sequence. It's an opportunity for us to get our bodies ready for exercise, to let our brains know, all right, I'm going to have to start sending signals electrical signals down in the muscle fibers. Let those muscles know, okay, I'm gonna have to turn up all my energy production systems into high gear so that I have enough energy. So you definitely want to make sure that you are not, you know, diving into the deep end. And the other reason for today, aside from just the usual reasons, is that of course we're moving the whole time, and so you need to make sure that you have enough energy to be able to get through an entire hour. And if you rush in to pushing yourself really hard and move through the energy that you already have available before your body is able to really get the energy production systems working, then you are definitely going to run out of that needed energy, and that's just not what we want, right? That is not at all what our goal is here. So we do this as a ramp up, basically, and the warm up is designed to carry us through that. So it's not hard to do. It's just a good thing to remind us. Like here, we're doing our Jane Fondas, right? And we do not need to be worrying about, oh, well, I want to make sure I'm lifting my leg as high as it can go, all right? We just want to be lifting the leg, you know, engaging those muscles, but I do not need to be setting any records or anything like that. I just want to make sure, all right, I am engaging these muscle groups, I've got my stabilizers coming online, and everything is working as intended, okay? So, all right. Ooh. The longer we go, the less I end up yawning, so that's always good. All right, foot flat on the floor in front of that bottom knee. Lifting that bottom leg, making sure this knee is pulled back in that nice safe position. So if I were to stand up and squat on this leg, this knee would go straight over the foot instead of caving forward, all right? And that's something that you may need to enlist the assistance of the muscles in your hip socket, depending on your flexibility, all right? So I can sort of set myself up here very easily on this side and not have to worry too much because I've got the flexibility where I can just get into this position and maintain it. You'll see on the other side, I have to work a little harder. All right, now foot flat on the floor behind the bottom knee, still lifting that bottom leg. It's our beach position. So we're relaxing. We're imagining that we've finally made it back to a beach somewhere. And just enjoying the surf and the sand and the smell of sunscreen. And yeah, this is a good position to close out the leg sequence because we don't have to worry about maintaining that balance on our sides. We don't have to worry about pulling this knee back because this is a much easier position to maintain. So we can really just focus in on the working limb and on the working muscle groups, okay? Ooh, excuse me. All right, other side. Oh my goodness, so much stuff is going on today. Good grief. But you know what? It's just how life goes, right? And there's such a tendency in, streams or people who are professional YouTubers. There's such a tendency to edit out all of the ridiculous things, all of the messes, all of the mistakes, and obviously on stream it's a little harder to do that, but there is sort of a presentation that you can do to hide a lot of those rougher edges. But y'all know I'm not about that life. You are going to hear about the days when I actually put my pants on inside out and forget to do laundry, so have to re-wear a shirt I already worked out in. Because fuck it. It's so important for us to break down these images of perfection that we get through a lot of social media and social entertainment. It's one of the biggest problems is that we have this ability to present just perfect seeming versions of our lives online, and then other people not knowing the back details, just seeing what's presented, start getting down on themselves because they're not as put together, they're not as far along, and they're, not as strong, not as stable, etc., yada, yada, yada. And that is a really hard thing to contend with. And I think that most of us who have grown up or come of age in the era of social media struggle with that. So I always want to make sure that you are aware that I am actually a regular human being and I do not have everything together. I'm still figuring life out, same as everybody else, and it's hard sometimes. But as long as you can laugh at the silly things, that's the important thing, right? I think anyway. All right, moving into opening up our hips and our backs, starting with scorpion twists. So trying to get that leg as far across as you can. So it's one leg at a time. My other leg is just sort of lying along the floor, and then one leg swings over and across. We try to get that foot flat on the floor, and we try to get that knee pointing up towards the ceiling. But no matter what, we keep our elbows glued to the floor, okay? So if you can't get to here without your elbow coming up, then you can't get that far, and that's okay, all right? It is not, it's a good guide post for where your back flexibility is currently. And that is useful. All right. Now our big torso rotations. Holding our imaginary PVC pipes, which is just such a funny artifact from when I used to teach this class in person, which I got no idea when I might do that again, if I'll do it again. But for now, the artifact remains. We hold this imaginary PVC pipe above our heads. And eventually it may just convert into another V for victory arm position, similar to what we do in the Flaming Scarlets, because it's essentially the same thing. The only thing that would change is not, holding your hands in a fist as if you are actually holding something. So we'll see. Or maybe it will just become an artifact that eventually no one will know how it began. It's like the kids who see the save icon and never actually dealt with those types of external discs before. Just one of those artifacts that travels with us that we don't necessarily put any thought into where it came from or why it exists. Oh my goodness, it is warm in here. Oof. I definitely need to figure out the AC before we get too far into the summer, and then you have to deal with me like, you know, having a heat stroke episode or something, which would just not be good for any of us. So make sure you're hydrating and pay attention to the environmental conditions in the space in which you're exercising, because that's actually really important. You know, again, in terms of it impacts our approach to the day's workout. It impacts the amount of intensity that we are safe putting into our exercise, okay? So kind of like if you did a hot yoga class, you wouldn't be in there thinking that, you wouldn't go into a room heated for a hot yoga class thinking that you were going to do a cardio HIIT class, right? Because that would just not go well. And in the summertime, heat becomes a huge issue. You know, a lot of us like to get outside for outdoor activities, and I am certainly no exception. But you have to take the temperature into account, and depending on the temperature, you may need to ramp back the intensity of whatever you're doing, or you may even need to say, I just can't work out outside today. I have to do an indoor workout, okay? So make sure that you are paying attention to your environmental surroundings so that you don't end up, you know, hurting yourself, which is always obviously what we are trying to avoid. Someday I'll remember to start these same things on the mat. It's weird. I think that the reason that I forget is because I'm not currently doing most of that back sequence on the mat, which is a little weird. I'm not quite sure why I got into that particular habit. Again, artifacts. I'm sure I had a reason for it first few times I did it, and now I have no idea what that reason was. Just trying to figure out a habit or figure out how to stop a habit. All right, kick throughs. Why is there a feather in here? Oh my goodness. All right, remember, I'm gonna go into the form today. So 90-degree angle with the standing leg, okay? Knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Opposite arm is the one where the hand is against the floor. You want that shoulder to be pretty close to directly over your wrist. And then you just kick that other leg across, then into the center, switch hands, switch feet, okay? And we go back and forth. You don't want to let your butt sink down to the floor or let that knee cave forward, all right? And you don't want to push too far back from that wrist. So it's a weird exercise. It's a good one, but it's a weird one. All right, and we are on our final exercise. So keep in mind that when the timer goes off, we do not stop moving. We get immediately up and start doing our cross jacks. So make sure that you're ready to do that, and make sure that you are still remembering to breathe, okay? Because, not breathe, drink water. That's what I meant to say. So, as soon as you got settled into the cross jacks, grab some water, just like you would in any other break, all right? So, see, similar to jumping jacks, we jump our feet out, hands come to the sides, basically at waist level, and then jump the feet in, one foot crossed in front of the other, one hand on top of the other, then out and switch. You can also modify so you're doing the arms but just kicking the feet forward, or you can just do something like that. Alrighty? Woo. Okay. And yes, I get to stop because I'm the teacher. So, sorry, not sorry. But yeah, make sure to drink water, okay? It is super important, and it's a good skill to learn how to drink water safely while currently moving without choking it, even though you're breathing more heavily. All right, there's a lot of factors in there. Okay, let's see here. I actually have something written out because, you know, I wanted to. All right, so we're gonna start with 5 minutes of toe squats. I know you're excited about that. So we're just gonna put on a 5-minute timer. Remember, again, it's a perpetual motion class, so if you want to take breaks, you can, but they have to be active rest breaks. So they have to be your cross jacks or whatever modification of them you're doing. And for our toe squats, feet hip width apart, backs straight up and down, squatting down. Oh, I can't go any farther without letting my heels come up, so let my heels come up all the way down to the bottom, and then stand back up. Alrighty? So if you are planning to take active rests, then please try to make sure that you are doing the same number of reps in each set. Alright? So if you do 20 reps, and then you do your cross jacks a little bit, and then you do 20 more reps, that's great. Just make sure it's 20 each time. Okay? All right, so everybody's cross-jacking, and as soon as you hear the horn, then you just immediately begin. There we go. And remember, one of the most important muscle groups for this activity, aside from the obvious one, is your core, because we want to make sure that we are controlling the weight, we're controlling the movement of our torso so it doesn't go falling all over the place, because we're basically going down to a balanced position up on the balls of our feet, and we want to be able to manage that balance using only the foot and the ankle. And if our torso is just able to sort of move around at will, then it will have a tendency to try and pull us off balance in some direction or other. Okay? So we start before we even move. Engage that core, and you'll feel the difference. You will feel the added stability. The other reason we want the core involved is to prevent gravity from taking control. So we want to be in control of the movement the whole time. Gravity wants to help. Gravity's like, yeah, let me help. This is my moment. You want to get down to the floor? I want to help you. And it's going to try to pull you down and bounce you around. And that's just going to be really bad for your knees. So you want to be, no matter how fast you're going, you want to be in control of the movement the whole time. So yet another reason to have your core engaged. And again, I know I already talked about this, but as a follow-up, if you're like, all right, I'm going to do sets because I really do need to do a different activity every once in a while, cool. Just make sure, A, that it's an active rest. Hey, halfway through, you can do any of them. You can do any of those modifications, whatever you want to do. And B, make sure that when you get back in, you're doing the same number of reps that you were doing initially, okay? So this is not a 5 minutes where we're going for a specific number of reps, although if you want to add that in as an additional challenge for yourself, go for it. Absolutely, okay? There is no issue with that, but it's not a requirement. So you really can just settle in and be like, all right, I just need to make sure that I'm moving the whole time, and let's see if I can get through a full 5 minutes without stopping, all right? Because that's ultimately how we start building up our stamina. And we don't need to be worrying about how many reps we're doing, okay? We can just focus on, all right, I know, obviously, the difference between moving and not moving. So I will go and I will just keep moving the whole time, and I will not worry whether I'm doing, 200 reps or 100 reps or anything in between. I will just focus on, am I still moving? Great. Am I still keeping the form? Great. Then I am succeeding at the exercise. All right? 15 seconds left. Woo woo. And then you go back into your cross jacks, same as before. Again, remember to focus on the rest in the active rest. All right. Good job. Yeah. So you're cross-jacking away, making sure to grab some water. Woo! All right. All right. God, it is, yeah. It's warm up here, which makes sense because the sun is just like, hello, here's your roof. I'm like, all right, yeah, I hear you. So we're gonna do a 45-second perpetual motion set, 3 exercises. So 45-second work intervals, no rest intervals, obviously, because this is a perpetual motion class. So first exercise, full pike extensions. So we start in that pike as if we were going to do TikToks, except I just have my arms just extended forward, and then extending arms and legs out, but I'm not putting them down on the ground, okay? So my core is engaged the whole time, keeping them lifted, and then I pull myself back up to that pike. We'll just go back and forth, okay? Then our second exercise and third exercise are just going to be sides 1 and 2. And it's going to be penchés. So we are going to do, you take 1 foot forward. I think today we'll try to hold the position. So 1 foot forward, and we're going to come forward to try and create basically a T position here. And try not to fall over. Again, you need that core stabilizing muscle group. And just try to hold this balance. And then when the timer goes off, stand up and switch sides to the other side, okay? So those are our exercises. Hello! Yay! Hang out in the, you can just have this on in the background. Isn't it restful? I'm glad you're in the zone now. Hello. All right, so full pike extensions, and then sides 1 and sides 2 for the penchés. So everybody's on your mats, everybody's doing their cross jacks, and as soon as you hear that horn, we get down onto our mats and we get started. You're gonna have to hit a wall when you're doing this. And remembering that starting on time looks a little different when we're doing perpetual motion sets, because we are never starting from a stopped position. We are always doing an exercise up until the moment that the horn goes off, and then switching to the next exercise. So what starting on time becomes is minimizing the amount of time between the exercise that you're currently doing and the exercise that you're going to do, okay? For these penchés, you want your hips to be squared towards the floor, okay? It can be really tempting to open up to the side like this because we've got that leg behind us. So I want you to really focus in on pushing that hip down and keeping those pelvic bones square and pointing towards the floor, okay? All right, and then other side. You may find one side is easier than the other because we are not symmetrical creatures. You also want to make sure that there is just a slight bend in that knee. We're not bending the knee, but we don't want it to be locked, okay? So just test it out, feel the difference. Make sure you're breathing, because even though we're not moving, we still need to breathe because our muscles are still working really hard, all right? It's easy to remember to breathe when we're doing something like these pike extensions because, you know, we're moving. And when we're moving, we're like, obviously I have to breathe. But if we have a tendency with held positions to not want to, you know, push ourselves out of alignment. And so we go, okay, well, breathing might push me out of alignment, so let me hold my breath. There are basically no points in my classes where holding your breath is going to be an advantage. There are breathing techniques for certain types of like powerlifting and Olympic lifting where held breath is a component of that, absolutely. But that's not what we're doing here. So I want you to always be aware of your breathing and to really make sure to focus in even when we're doing a held position, and be like, all right, am I getting oxygen into my body? Yes? Good. All right. Last penché during round 2, essentially. And yeah, just pay attention to the differences in how easy or difficult it is to keep your hips square to the ground, all right? So it's a lot easier for me to keep my hips square when I am balancing on my right leg and bringing my left leg up behind me. And that's just something I know, that when I do that side, I'm going to have an easier time of it. When I'm balancing on my left leg and my right leg's coming up behind me, I need to put a little bit more effort into keeping my hips square to the floor. All right, and on our full pike extensions, of course, our cores are engaged the whole time, and exhaling on the effort is going to be really useful in this. As we pull ourselves up, really contracting those core muscles. Nice big exhale helps to drive us through the intensity of the most impactful part of that exercise and to get us to that pike position. All right, last time for penchés. So you want to have a nice flat back, nice engaged core, nice straight legs. So you see that I'm basically in a T position. And you may not be able to get that far down, but try to maintain the line from top of your head to your toes, okay? No matter how far forward you're able to go, you want that straight line, okay? Last time, other side. Again, check in on that standing leg. Make sure the knee is not jammed and locked, and you'll feel it. You'll feel the difference. It will feel uncomfortable and a little unsafe. So you'll start to notice that and get better at just avoiding that position altogether, okay? Because it's not good for your leg. All right, so close, so close. Keep breathing. Nice deep breaths. And now back up and into the cross jacks. Oh, good job. Woo! Good job, everybody. Grabbing some water. Okay. Yep. Nice big breaths. How's everybody doing? Woo! Feeling good? Feeling worn? Who knows? Anything along that spectrum makes sense. So the next thing we're going to do, the good news is I don't really have to explain it to you. Depending on your perspective, bad news is that it's another 5-minute round of toe squats, okay? So same as the first time. So make sure you've got plenty of water and make sure that you're really focusing in on the rest side of your active rest. So really trying to get your breath rate down, trying to get your heart rate down. Okay, that's what I mean when I tell you to focus on the rest, is we want to train ourselves to be able to bring our breath and our heart rate down as quickly as possible when we stop doing the really intense movement, okay? That is basically the point of HIIT classes. That's one of the big things we're training for. All right, so everybody's on your mats and cross-jacking. We're gonna get that 5-minute timer going again. So as soon as you hear that horn, you know what to do. All right, yeah. There we are. And check in, because we want that form to be just as good as it was the first time we did this. So you may have to go more slowly and really focus in, or maybe you're feeling a burst of energy and you're like, all right, I wanna push for a little more speed, a few extra reps, and that's awesome, and you should, as long as you can maintain the form, okay? That is one of the big non-negotiables for class, you know? If you want to be doing super fast reps, but you keep collapsing down and sort of bouncing around, don't do that. You're training yourself to do the exercise in an unhealthy way. If you want to be doing fast reps, you need to be able to be in control of the entire movement the whole time, no matter what. Non-negotiable, right? Because one of our big overarching goals is to be able to be active for as long as possible, for as much of our lives as possible. And frankly, we have the ability to be pretty active for a good long while, as long as we put in the work to really focus on form and to focus on caring for ourselves, listening to the signals our bodies send us, and using rest and treating rest as just as important as we treat exercise itself, okay? Because if you're out here and you're like, yeah, I want to be active for as much of my life as possible, and the way I'm going to achieve that is I'm just going to run myself, hey, you're halfway through, run myself into the ground every week, 7 days a week. Well, then I got bad news. You are not going to maintain a particularly active life for nearly as long as you may wish. But if you really start putting that effort in now, then you're creating the foundation on which you can have a wonderfully active life. You can still be doing a class like this in your 60s. You can still be summiting that 14er in your 70s. You can still be running road races in your 80s. All of this is absolutely possible, but it's not possible if we approach exercise as if we are in a battle with ourselves, okay? And my goal as a teacher is always to emphasize that we are a holistic system. Everything here is a holistic system, and we want to honor that. We don't want to come into class and be like, all right, I'm just gonna shove those emotions in the corner. Screw them. My body's, feeling bursts of pain. Too bad. I just gotta keep pushing. No, no. We learn how to listen. We learn how to interpret, and we learn what steps to take to keep ourselves healthy and fit and safe and to mitigate our risk of injury as much as possible. Okay? So these are the big things that I focus on, and that I think all too few teachers focus on in the fitness space. So I find it very important. All right, back to those cross jacks, my friends. Woo! How is everybody? Oh, feeling good, feeling good. Oh yeah. Yeah, make sure you are drinking your water. I mean, I'm well over halfway through my mason jar already. And you want to make sure that you are also finishing all that water, okay? All right, so we are going to do another perpetual motion set, yeah? Woo! And it's going to be 45 seconds again. So same as the last time, just 3 new exercises. First exercise is going to be a held bridge. And we've got 2 possible ways to do that. You can lie on your back, feet flat on the floor, knees pointing up towards the ceiling, and just lift your hips up and hold. All right? Or if you're looking for a bit of a challenge, you can take this position, take your hands up on either sides of your head, flat, palms flat on the floor, fingers pointing down towards your body, and push up into that bridge. So that's going to add a lot of intensity into your shoulders. And given that the next exercise that we're doing is a front plank from the elbows, you may not need that level of intensity 2 exercises in a row, or you may be ready for that challenge. So second exercise, front planks. Shoulders directly over elbows, and just hanging out and remembering to breathe. And then our third exercise is going to be ankle reaches. So back to this position, legs straight up in the air, feet pointing right up towards the ceiling. Engage the core to lift shoulders and chest off the floor. One hand to the outside of the opposite ankle, and other side, and we just go back and forth like that. All right? So, held bridge, front plank, and ankle reaches. 45-second work intervals. 3 times through. As soon as you hear that horn, we begin. Hey! And lots of held positions here. So, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to practice breathing during those held positions, all right? And if you're doing the baseline version of this exercise, you just have your arms just lying on the ground, and your real focus is in pushing those hips up and not letting them start to sink down, okay? So that's the big focus. So you're really going to want to engage your glutes and engage up into your quads as well. All right. Woo! Remember too that when it comes to minimizing the amount of time between the exercise you're currently doing and the exercise that you need to move into, don't always try to transition the way that I am up here, because I have an additional factor that I need to factor in, and it's the how I'm pointed towards the camera. So I am not always taking the most efficient path from one exercise to the other. So just keep that in mind if you've been like, I wonder why they're doing it that way. Oh well, she's the teacher, so I guess I'll do that. No, because I have this extra criteria that you don't have to worry about, because you are not on camera. Woo! Unless you're videotaping yourself to work on your form, which, you know, is not a bad way to go about it. It's one of the reasons why gyms and dance studios tend to have lots of mirrors up, so that you can actually pay attention to how your form looks. And that helps us to start visually identifying things. And depending on how you learn best, it might be super useful. You know, some people are able to learn things by hearing a description and then translating that into their brains. Some people are able to watch something that's happening and then recreate it. And some people do need that extra visual stimulus to actually see what they're doing and be able to compare it to what the other person is doing. So yeah, so honestly, if you are, you know, just wanting to check in on how your form is doing, set up your iPhone while you're doing class and watch that video once you're done, and you will be able to identify a lot of things just based on the conversations that we have in class, based on watching me do the exercises. You'll be able to do that comparison and to be like, oh, okay, right here I'm letting my hips sink down a little bit too far, or I'm not keeping them squared towards the floor, or oh, it really doesn't look like I'm engaging my core there. It looks like I'm trying to pull myself using my my arms or something like that. All right, and that way you really get to take your form to a whole new level, because it is one of the negatives about teaching online is that I don't get to be watching your form in person and making those corrections. And that is something I miss, because it is a powerful tool. So what do we talk about always? We talk about we have to get creative, all right? So this is one way for us to do that, to figure out a way to make those comparisons, to get sort of an outside eye on what's going on, so that you can then identify what you may need to work on, right? And that could be incredibly useful. So think about that, especially if you have things that you've been wondering about or questions, you know, or if there's been an exercise where you're like, I just don't feel like I am having the experience that Blanche is describing. Maybe I'm not doing a component of it correctly. Take a video and find out, because maybe you're not, and that will be a really good way for you to learn that. And then that helps us to improve our ability to harness our spatial awareness and to be able to better identify when we're in the correct position and when we need to adjust a little bit, okay? So, yeah, things to think about, because we don't always feel exactly what we are actually doing, you know? And in both directions, frankly. Like, there have been plenty of times where I totally thought I was doing an exercise correctly, and then looked back at it and went, oh man, I really lost this part of the form. And there are other times where I feel like I'm kind of off, and like I, you know, don't have the balance, or I'm not holding the position the way I used to be able to. And then I go back and I look at the video and I go, oh, never mind, that looked really good. So it is a tool for improvement and also for recognition of what we have achieved. All right. toes, cross jacks. Woo! All right, my friends. We are going to do one more toe squat set. Yes, that's how we're gonna end. So make sure to drink up. At this point, you are pros at the toe squats. And when we get to the end of that timer, I do want you to keep going, but only so I can get the timer set for calf awareness, which is how we frequently end these classes, okay? So you will have to go back into cross jacks only for maybe 10 seconds while I get the timer set up, and then we'll do calf awareness, and then we'll be done with class. But before we get there, 5 more minutes of toe squats. So you have done this twice before. You know what we want from the form. You know the pitfalls. You know the form notes that I've given that I want you to really focus in on. So let's just make this the best set. And since it's the last set, let's really see how much we can challenge ourselves. We don't need to save that energy for anything else, all right? All right, so everybody's on their mats. You've had some water. As soon as you hear that horn, you know what you're about. All right, so if you have been, doing sort of sets and then active rest sequences, then see if you are able to up the number of reps that you do before each active rest, all right? And maybe you're staring at me in horror while I say that and going, are you kidding me? It's the end of class. I'm gonna be hard pressed to just be able to do the number I was doing previously. But maybe you'll surprise yourself and you'll find those last pockets of energy that we've been holding in reserve, and you'll go, all right, well, let's see what we can do. Okay? Either way, our main goal for class, as always, is just keep moving. And that baseline for stamina is really the biggest thing, This does not have to be the class where we get a ton of PRs, This does not have to be the class where we're really focusing on, gotta go, gotta push, okay? We want to be able to do a class like this and to not need to stop moving the whole time. So, focus on that. Start there. And as you get stronger, then your capacity to intensify the exercise increases. And then you can try out, trying to push for some extra reps, some extra time, what have you. But where we want to start is just, can I, halfway through, from the time that I start the warm-up to the time that I end calf awareness, keep moving the whole time. That is our first goal for this class, is can I keep moving the whole time without stopping, without, pausing my active rests or grabbing onto a wall or anything like that. And so build to that first. build to that first. And I guarantee you, if you're over there immediately starting with, oh, well, I need to put more intensity into this, then you're not even going to make it to the end of class without needing to pause. So, yeah, this is not like our more Tabata focused classes. Those classes, they use much more of a sprint mentality. Yeah, they are small bites of work and even smaller bites of rest, and we're able to push ourselves a little more intensely because we don't have to keep doing the exercise for as much time. But when you're doing 5 minutes of toe squats without stopping, you can't start with how fast can I sprint? You have to start with how consistently can I jog, okay? All right, 30 seconds left. So if you're doing your squats, I want you to keep doing them. Even if you've been doing rep sets, just try to keep that movement going for the remaining time. Check in on that form, core engaged, no bouncing at the bottom of the position, controlling the movement no matter what, and then back to cross jacks, just long enough for me to get our calf awareness timer. All right, as soon as that horn goes off, we will balance flat on one foot. Hiya. Oh. And here is our opportunity to really take our breath down and our heart rate down, because we're not even moving. We are just balancing. So start there. Focus on how quickly can I get my breath rate down? How quickly can I get my heart rate down? Big breaths. That helps to signal to your heart that, oh, we're able to take more time to pull in a full breath. So clearly the need to really push oxygen quickly through the body is past. So I, the heart, can start calming down and not going as fast as I was. All right, other side. So now we focus in on the balance itself. We make sure that we've got our stabilizing muscle groups working, starting with the core, keeping our torso, again, in line so that it doesn't fall in any direction. Then engaging the glutes on the working leg and the quads on the working leg basically creates a single cohesive unit from the knee up. So by the time we get down to the ankle, where we're starting to really steer the balance, we don't have to worry because it's all one comprehensive unit. Now when the timer goes off again, we will go back to that first foot, and now we will balance on the ball of the foot. So we are upping that challenge rating. Everything I said here still applies, but we recognize, all right, here we go. We recognize that this is a lot harder to maintain. So as long as you can stay up there, do. When you feel like you're gonna fall, don't just let yourself collapse, okay? Instead, if you feel like you're gonna lose the balance, control bringing the heel down, reset, go back into the position, and do it again for however long you can. And every time you reset, check back in on that core, huh? Because remember, that's still a great stabilizing muscle group, and we still want it to be involved, all right? Make sure you're breathing too, because that's really important as well. And pressure on the ankle when we're balancing up. All right, other side. When we're balancing up on the ball of the foot, the ankle has to engage a lot more. So again, obviously, we would love to be able to just hold this position for the entire minute. But if that's not where you are, that is totally fine. Obviously, especially on this really thick padded mat, I have to reset pretty frequently. And that's okay, because when I'm controlling bringing the heel down, I'm still putting some good work into my calf. Now when the timer goes off again, we go back to the first side, and now we're doing a moving balance. We're going up onto the ball of the foot and then rocking back onto the heel and just going back and forth between those positions. So up on the ball, back on the heel, up on the ball, back on the heel, just like that. All right, up on the ball, back on the heel. We're controlling it, so we're not rushing. We're checking in on that core engagement. Again, that's going to help us to not lose our balance and fall over. Alrighty. And remember, you don't need to maintain like a straight up and down back when you rock back onto the heel. So you can let the butt come out behind you a little bit. That's totally fine. Up on the ball, back on the heel, and we're just going smoothly from one to the other, not trying to go for speed, all right, just trying to go for consistency and for being able to, all right, other side, being able to keep the movement going for the entire minute, all right? And if you're struggling with the balance, with this moving balance, then one thing that can help is finding a single point, a fixed point on the floor ahead of you or on the wall in front of you, and just focus on that point and just don't look anywhere else. And that will help to ground you in space, okay? So try that out. Now, when the timer goes off again, our last exercise, both feet on the ground, rocking back onto those heels, and do not bring the toes back to the floor until the horn ends, okay? So here we go. It's our last thing to do. You can balance as long as you can, and if you need to, shuffle around a little bit. Again, you can let your butt come out behind you in that balance, okay? Core is going to really help. You want your legs square, all right? So you don't want like one leg turned out and the other leg straight forward, okay? So hips and legs are square with each other. Balance as much as you can. Minimize the shuffling to only what you need to do to recapture the balance. 15 seconds left. We're breathing. We're keeping those toes up. We're maintaining the balance as best we can. We're looking forward to being able to stop in just a sec. And there we are. Just roll over the tops of your toes real quick. Just to help stretch along the top of the foot and going up into the shins, because those last two are really intense on the shins. And this is one of the few places where we get that sort of nice focused shin movement. Oh, all right. Good grief. Well, my friends, that was an awesome class. And I feel really guilty that I have to sort of rush away, but I am about to be late to meet somebody. So we're going to close up class, but thank you for joining me. We had a little bit of a scattered start, but like, look at this. See? it doesn't matter that we had a scattered start. It doesn't matter that it was a hard day yesterday, that it was, I forgot a bunch of things. It doesn't matter that I, had to reuse an exercise shirt and put my pants on inside out. We got on the mat and we honored wherever we were and we did an awesome workout. And I hope that you are feeling really good because I know I am. We've got 3 more classes left this week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time is Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. Then Friday at 5 p.m. is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And then Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. So please do join me for any or all of those classes. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. So definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I have a Ko-fi account for one-time donations, or you can subscribe to this channel if you're able to support more long-term. Either way, your donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help me keep growing this channel and this community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, co-workers, anyone looking for an awesome class. I stream 4 days a week. We have a great community here, and the more the merrier. So make sure to finish off that water, pour another one, hydrate, make sure to start getting some food in you, replenishing those glycogen stores, especially if you're planning to come to class tomorrow. Don't forget to take that celebratory post-workout shower. Try and make sure that you do some laundry tonight. And I will see all of you back here again tomorrow. Mwah! Have a great night.